millions of years ago. On a barren, cracked savanna, life seemed scorched beneath the blazing sun. No rivers remained, no fields of green. Only drifting dust, searing winds, and burning rocks exposed under the sky. In this desolate wasteland, a troop of ancient apes staggered forward. Hunger and thirst hollowed their eyes and wasted their bodies. They gnawed at withered blades of grass, pressing against the shadows of stones to escape the merciless heat. Heavy breaths and hoarse cries echoed across the empty land, carried away by the scorching wind. The weakest stumbled, their limbs trembling, before collapsing lifelessly upon the fractured earth. Dust slowly covered their still bodies, as if the land itself was claiming them back. Around them, the survivors stared in silence, eyes wide with fear, but also burning with a desperate will. Every step forward was agony, yet within that agony a seed of resilience was born. It was more than a struggle against hunger and thirst, it was a battle against extinction itself. This was a brutal moment of life and death, where despair tested the will to endure, where survival demanded sacrifice, and from this crucible of suffering, the first sparks of humanity began to emerge. And then, a miracle appeared. At the horizon's edge, the shimmering sea stretched wide. Green trees swayed gently, their shade calling out. The apes awakened with joy. From weary steps, they surged forward with new strength. Cries rang out, filled with triumph. They rushed onto the sand, clinging to one another, drinking fresh water, feasting on ripe fruit. Joy erupted. Life had given them hope once more. Before them lay a breathtaking shore. Blue waves lapped gently against endless white sands. Palms swayed in the ocean breeze, sunlight glinting on the water, like a paradise rising from the barren wasteland. As the sun set, the sky blazed crimson over the shore. The apes sat together in silence, gazing at the endless ocean. In their wild eyes, for the first time, flickered the faint thought of a new land, of a life that could be different. Night fell, the moon casting long shadows across the white sand. The waves whispered like ancient voices, guiding them into uneasy sleep. Then dawn broke. Golden light pierced through the trees, warming their trembling bodies. After many days of searching and waiting, a group of clever apes patiently gathered fallen logs, hauling each heavy trunk to the shore. With clumsy but determined hands, they bound the wood with vines, shaping a raft, crude yet sturdy, a fragile miracle born from desperation. Slowly, the raft drifted away from the shore. Gentle waves rocked beneath them, seabirds wheeled above, as if guiding their passage. The horizon stretched endlessly, a vast unknown, yet within their wild hearts, a spark had been lit. The search for a new world had truly begun. In their eyes, for the first time, there was no fear, only burning hope. Hope for a new land where life might flourish again. And as the raft drifted away from the white sands into the open sea, a great journey had begun, their search for survival, and perhaps the first step toward destiny. The raft drifted slowly away from the shore, leaving behind the white sands and the barren land that had once imprisoned them. Gentle waves lapped around, lifting and lowering the raft as if rocking it in a fragile cradle. In the distance, seabirds wheeled against the crimson glow of sunset, their wide wings spread as if silent guides. Before them stretched an endless horizon, where the sea met the boundless sky, a world yet unknown. On their weary faces, still marked with dust and struggle, a new light flickered in their eyes, the fire of hope, the burning desire to find a land where life could begin anew. In that moment, the vast ocean was no longer a terror, but a path, a road toward the future. And so, their great journey, the quest for a new world, had truly begun. After the raging storm, the sea grew calm again. On the soaked and battered raft, the surviving apes lay gasping, their eyes filled with fear and exhaustion. Some had been lost to the waves, and only a few remained, clinging together in silence. The gray sky slowly revealed the streak of light. Far on the horizon, the ocean shimmered with the silver glow of dawn. The waves still swayed beneath them, yet in their weary eyes, a faint spark of hope returned. They had endured the first trial of the ocean. As the sea grew calm after the storm, a massive shadow glided beneath the surface. Then, sharp fins broke through the waves, circling the raft. The apes panicked, clinging to one another, their cries echoing across the endless ocean. Suddenly, a giant shark surged upward, seizing an ape in its jaws and dragging it into the blood-stained waters. The raft rocked violently as the others shrieked in terror. More predators closed in, their rows of white, razor teeth tearing into flailing limbs, ripping flesh apart. Screams pierced the air, mingling with the roar of the sea and the stench of salt and blood. In that moment, the ocean transformed into a merciless battlefield, where life was devoured without mercy. After the chaos, the sea slowly calmed. On the salty waters, lifeless ape bodies floated adrift. Dark crows swooped down, perching on the corpses, pecking at their eyes and tearing strips of flesh, a grim, haunting scene of death upon the waves. In the distance, a few survivors clung desperately to broken planks from the shattered raft. Their trembling bodies and terrified eyes revealed the thin line between life and death. The current carried them onward until at last, a lonely island emerged, lush trees swaying gently in the wind. Dragged by the waves, they finally reached the shore. Exhausted, they collapsed upon the sand. Yet in their fragile breaths remained a faint spark of survival. The apes had escaped death and now set foot upon a new and desolate land. The apes' bodies washed ashore, eyes staring blankly at the sky. Black crows descended, pecking at the lifeless flesh. The survivors staggered forward, trembling, laying broad leaves over their fallen kin. In the heavy silence, for the first time, they revealed a fragile spark of morning. The dark days were behind them. On the lush, green island, the surviving apes began to feel the breath of new life. Beneath tall coconut trees, they clumsily climbed and plucked ripe, heavy fruits. The crack of dry shells echoed, and fresh, cool water spilled out, dripping down their hairy hands. They drank deeply, their thirst turning into pure joy. Not far away, others climbed the towering trees laden with fruit. With clumsy yet powerful hands, they plucked ripe clusters, the fragrance spreading through the canopy. They swung from branch to branch, sharing the juicy sweetness, their laughter like cries mingling with the sounds of the wild. While some apes climbed high trees for sweet fruits, another group wandered down to the shore. The retreating tide revealed wet rock crevices, hiding crabs and shellfish. They crouched low, reaching hairy hands into the cracks, pulling out crabs that snapped their claws and shells that gleamed in the sunlight. Excited cries rang out each time they caught a meal. With stones, they cracked the hard shells, breaking claws, then shared the salty taste of the sea. A few playful ones splashed in the shallow waves, chasing tiny fish darting close to shore. Night fell, and the apes gathered around a crackling fire by the shore. The smoky scent of roasted shellfish drifted with the sea breeze, the firelight dancing across their tired faces. For a moment, the weight of fear eased, replaced by a fragile warmth. Waves lapped in rhythm, blending with the crackle of flames into a primal song. Yet, apart from the group, a few sat silently, staring out across the moonlit sea. The silver path of light stretched across the water, like a road leading back to the distant land. In their wild hearts stirred both longing and the dream of return. At dawn, under golden light, the troop ventured into the forest. Branches snapped, vines twisted, heavy logs dragged to the shore. Once again, a raft began to take shape, rough and fragile, yet strong enough to carry their hope toward the land they had left behind. The fragile raft drifted into the open sea beneath the golden dawn. Gentle waves lifted it, while the cool morning breeze brushed their shaggy fur. The apes cried out, voices echoing across the vast ocean. Seabirds soared high above, as if guiding them onward. In their wild eyes, fear slowly faded, replaced by a burning desire to seek a new land beyond the horizon. The raft drifted under the golden dawn, apes crying out with joy. But the sea stirred. Dark fins broke the surface, circling silently. Their triumph turned to terror as sharks surrounded the fragile raft, closing in with deadly intent. Sharks circled, fins slicing the waves, as the apes clung in terror to their fragile raft. Just as despair closed in, the sea thundered from afar. A pod of massive whales surged forward, colossal bodies breaking the surface, shattering the deadly circle and driving the sharks away. Amid the raging sea, a giant shark lunged forward, jaws wide with gleaming teeth. From the depths, a colossal whale burst upward, its massive tail slamming against the predator's body. The impact cracked bones and painted the waters red. The shark thrashed, shrieking, but the whale struck again, shattering its strength. The ocean churned with blood, a brutal reminder that true power belonged to the titan of the deep. The sea grew calm as the shark's corpse drifted in bloody waters. Towering whales circled the raft, their deep calls echoing like a song of triumph. One tilted its massive back, allowing trembling apes to climb aboard, while others swam protectively around them. Together, the mighty pod escorted the survivors toward the shore. Silver waves broke around them, and the glow of sunset spread across the ocean, a majestic passage home. The massive shark's carcass washed ashore, its gray hide torn and blood-stained. The apes rushed forward, eyes filled with both fear and hunger. With vines and branches, they lashed around the heavy body, howling as they dragged it onto the sand. Once ashore, they swarmed the carcass, sharp stones and teeth tearing through the thick skin. Fresh blood spilled, staining the white beach red, as triumphant cries rang out. The feast of survival had begun. On the shore, the apes lit a fire, roasting shark meat over glowing embers. Salty smoke mingled with the sea breeze. In the flicker of flames, they feasted with bright eyes. Life had begun anew.